Right, we are live. Welcome back. J Bone here for Smash This podcast. Doing something different today. I've been wanting to watch this one for a few days, so I'm diving into some Netflix. And I don't review a lot of horror stuff on here. I know I've been inconsistent with the Walking Dead stuff. Apologize to those who enjoyed my reviews of that, and they were sporadic at best. And it's my head, I swear. So I'm excited to do stuff, and then I get pulled away because of other things, and I just want to apologize. But this series looked really intense by the trailer, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Jackson Parker's in the chat. What is up? Up. Is your channel named? Yes, I changed the name of the channel to specifically Smash This Podcast as opposed to me. I mean, I'm the only one on here unless I have a guest, but all the shows, no matter what I talk about, are Smash This Podcast. So it's a little bit of rebranding in a sense. You're not in the wrong place if you're looking for my channel. I just changed the name, so don't freak out. So, yeah, I watched the first episode of Black Summer. So, for Walking Dead fans or Z Nation fans or horror fans, zombie, walking, whatever you're a fan of in that realm of entertainment, we just done with the last season of Walking Dead, and this is a nice little thing to munch on. Waiting for the next season of The Walking Dead, which will be season 10. Some people have been really fried on the whole, oh my God, we're into the 10th season of The Walking Dead. Some trickled off over the last few seasons, especially with Rick gone and other characters going aside, was very hard to deal with for some of the fan base. So, and I get that. Sometimes when you lose significant character you lose interest. It's understandable. So, for those need something to fill in their zombie craze, this seemed like a nice little thing to check out. Once in a while you see like a semi-decent movie that comes out with some classic action superstar that you want to check out. I've seen a few out there I want to check out over the course of the next few months here and there. I might review them. We'll see. But this, like I said, this trailer looked really good. So this is specifically the review for the first episode of Netflix Black Summer. Say that 10 times really fast. Apparently and I like the way this is. This is for those of you who are curious, and I want to warn people, there will be spoilers in this review. I've seen some non-spoiler reviews, which is nice, and you get a hint of what it's like. You don't get a lot of details, and but I am going to be talking about specific characters and details. Kind of hard not to, the way they split up the episode, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I figure if I'm talking about it, I'm talking about it. So there's your fair warnings. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's about 45 minutes. Come back, watch this if you like. So the main synapse for this particular episode the episode is called Human Flow. 45 minutes. At the onset of the zombie apocalypse, chaos descends as Rose, who's one of the main characters, loses her family. Ryan tries to get bearings, and a desperate band finds a new guise. Or disguise, or whatever. You usually don't see the word guise by itself. Usually it's disguise. But anyways. So yeah, there's that. And that's a nice little brief overview. Now I'm going to break down some of the details that happened to some of the characters in this one. And this was kind of, they didn't just take all these characters and throw them all in one place, kind of similar to The Walking Dead. They took individual stories, and all these characters somehow, some way, I believe, are going to end up together within the next few episodes. It looks to be that way. Nonetheless, they're all very close as far as running into each other or in a very close vicinity, as in the same neighborhood slash township. Um, so there's that, and it's like a neighborhood like this. It looks like a decent neighborhood, and um, like a quiet suburb of a bigger city is basically what it looks like. And um, as far as the zombies, I like what they're doing with the zombies. It's not like The Walking Dead where they're all slow. They're the fast zombies. So very similar to what we saw in um, 28 Days Later. Um, what else? The remake of the Dawn of the Dead. Those were fast zombies. Oh, there's a few others out there that had fast zombies. Oh, like World War Z. Those were fast zombies. But I'd say the description, the closest I would say would be like the 28 Days Later. Um, Look, running speed, stuff like that. And difference as in fact, those are similar to these because they change almost instantly. There's almost no time lapse in the death and the change and the comeback. Um, Whereas in The Walking Dead, it varied a lot. It could be a day, could be 5 minutes, could be hours, could be half an hour. It varied from different person to different person. I think it depended on how sick you were at the time too, maybe. But one particular example, which was very cool to see, scary in a sense, um, certainly is a gore factor in this, plenty of blood, which is cool. But a girl, chaos of people trying to get out of this town, this neighborhood, and tried to evacuate to a safe point. This girl, and I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but this was the story of Lance. And Lance in this particular episode, this portion of this episode, because it's all broken down by character. You see what happens to Rose, then Ryan, then Barry, then Lance, then Spears, and then how a lot of these characters all merge to the checkpoint as the last one. Um, and they showed the transformation of this one girl who gets hit by a car. She doesn't get bit, but she gets hit by a car, and as she dies from internal injuries, and she's bleeding internally, coughing up blood, she passes away, and within a minute later, she's up and running around chasing people to go after him and kill him, and eat him. And that was crazy. And they showed you heard a lot of like gurgling, and the inside their insides were changing, um, or their brain was changing. It was really hard to tell, but they got sick, boom, up and ran. So um, that's what we're dealing with as far as the walkers, the zombies, or the runners. I don't know what you call them. The running zombies in this one. So that does throw extra fear factor into this. You're not dealing with a slow moving horde. You're dealing with, if you run into one, certainly have a chance. You run into two, your chances lessen drastically. Horde, you better just run. And these things don't get tired. That's the crazy thing. They don't get tired. This is zombie we're dealing with in this one. Let's talk about some of the characters. We didn't get to meet all the main characters. Like, I get character stories that are going to pop up in the next few episodes, as we saw from the trailer. Like Sun, I believe, is what's going to pop up in one of the next stories. But we saw her in this one. She saves Ryan, and Ryan is a deaf guy. I can't even imagine. It'd be hard enough day to day just to get around. I mean, you can certainly do stuff for yourself. You can cook, you can clean, what normal deaf people do. But then, as far as communicating, it's not everyday communication. You're running for your life. Everything's and everyone's moving at 100 miles an hour, including the ones that are trying to kill you. And he's just completely clueless as to what's going on or to communicate with to help him. Well, Sun, who we're going to find out her backstory, like I said, soon, Sun helps him, and they're running around. Barbara's story, her van gets taken over by just a jackass, and then he gets beaten to a pulp, and then all these people start getting in, and that's actually the end of the episode from another point of view of the checkpoint, which is very interesting. um Spears interesting because there's a whole backstory to Spears that I think we're going to eventually find out. But we see with what looks like three soldiers, they evacuate a house, sit him down, and then what looks like the head guy, he's going to go get a transport, and I'll be back. You keep an eye on him. Well, in the process of conversation, and I have to go to the bathroom and all this kind of, this guy kills a soldier in the bathroom, takes a gun, shoots him point blank head, which is smart because then he's not going to come back, and completely steals his identity because it said Spear on the breast of the military uniform. So he becomes Spears, and I'm sure we're going to find his real identity soon and out why these soldiers had him, because he kept saying, "You've got the wrong guy." And the other soldier just told him to shut up, like he didn't want to hear it. So there's something going on with this guy that he's hiding his identity from. Why these other soldiers are after him, I don't think we yet. Um, so that's him, and he's the one that actually, in the end of Rose's story, which starts out this episode, he saves her. In Rose's story, at the start of this episode of Human Flow, she's with her husband and her daughter Anna, and they're in the process of evacuating out of this little town, this neighborhood, trying to this checkpoint. The husband, we find out, is injured or bit or something. He's bleeding, he's injured, and they freak out. And in the process of the chaos of trying to get the family on the truck, the daughter's on, the truck takes off, the beat this guy down, and then all hell kind of breaks loose in the street here around all these people trying to get on the truck and evacuate and trying to do the evacuation. They hide in a house, and he's too beat up. He knows it's not going to last much longer. And she's like, "No, I'm not giving up on you." And he's like, "Can you just go get me a water?" Well, in the process of doing this, apparently what looks like another zombie breaks in the house. because it looks like at the end of this segment they were coming out. A zombie breaks out or breaks in, attacks, kills him. He changes, chases her. So her husband chases her down. He's turned, finds the old lady in the back, which you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Um, Someone left a little old lady in the back, probably someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, and she's just left for her own defenses, and she can't do anything. She's little and she's old, and so obviously, she's dead while she's getting attacked from her husband, Rose's husband, Patrick, I believe his name was. She runs and takes off, and then in the process of trying to get away from him, climbing a fence, Spears, who we find out later, ends up running up behind him, killing Patrick, and Rose is just disheveled, just completely just like mind numb, in shock after all this trauma. She's like, I need to get to my daughter. Can you please help me? And so we got Rose, Ryan, the deaf guy, who runs into Sun. We'll find out Sun's story, the Oriental girl. We got Barbara, who gets stuck in the van at the end of this episode, and a bunch of people jump in and take off. We got Lance. Lance, we just saw a bit of like running around. And we saw him at the end of the segment where the girlfriend transforms into the zombie and she starts running around the neighborhood, and like the camera follows her point of view, attacking people, looking for someone to eat, attack, whatever. And Lance is at the end of that segment. So that's where we meet Lance. It takes till the end of the segment to see Lance for the first time. Kind of weird. Because at first you're like, oh, Lance is the boy. No, he takes off. He completely abandons his girlfriend, who gets hit by the car, thrown 20, 30 feet, whatever it is, and then turns because she dies. This whole first episode is like 100 miles an hour running. It's crazy. It's violent. It's gory. You think you know people. You think you know what's going to happen to certain people, and then all of a sudden, boom, no, they're dead already. And it's like, wow. So that's what's kind of nice about this, is you don't have a clue who these characters are and what's going on. And I would say it's fairly unpredictable. Okay. Some stuff you can kind of see coming, like what happened to Barbara in the van when Ben was like, are you a Christian? It's just like sweet talking her, and they're like, get the fuck out of the truck, or van or whatever. I'll hit you in the face, or whatever. And she's like, it's like, oh my God. He just completely snapped and changed on her. So yeah, I'm very excited about the rest of this. Like I said, a nice little something to get by. I think the rest of the episodes are going to be memorable enough. We haven't heard anything yet. It just came out, started at the end of last week. So we don't know yet if it's been, if they, cleared season 2. Sometimes you got to wait a few weeks depending on the popularity of stuff. But if this seems like it's as good as I think it is, we're going to see season 2 sometime next summer, as a guess. So we'll see. But yeah, very excited about the rest of this. I will be reviewing the rest. Not sure if I'm going to do a chunk at a time or if I'm going to do an episode at a time, because I'm not used to doing Netflix stuff. Usually you binge watch it, and it really took a lot to not just go through this whole thing. So yeah, we're doing an episode at a time. And for those, it's more for those people who want the individual reviews, who maybe don't have time to binge and really crack open an episode at a time and digest it, and Pardon the pun. So, so yeah, we'll see what happens after the checkpoint, and I'm sure we're gonna meet a few other new characters in the next episode, which is the next one is Drive. So it looks like we're gonna find out what happens in the van. We'll meet, you know, whoever got in and what happens with the rest of those crew and some other stuff. So tune in for that. Not sure when I'm gonna do these. I'll try to do these over the course of the next week or two whenever I have time to sit down. Because I don't, I don't think I have time to like 8 hours of this in a row. Um, we'll do one at a time. I think it'll be a lot of fun and it'll be easier to digest as a someone doing the individual, who wants the reviews of these individual episodes. So tune in for that. Keep an eye on the channel. If you want to see more, please forget to smash that like button, smash that sub button, and ring that bell for notifications so that you know when more of my content hits your screen. So we'll be back later tonight for my usual, probably some wrestling stuff. We'll see if I have time to do it. Not sure. Everything's up in the air now, but I wanted to at least start this, get this going, and then I'll catch up on some other stuff in a few days leading into Easter weekend. So take care, folks. We'll see you real soon.